again. But may we have the roll call, please? Okay.
The Wayne County Art Institute Authority Board meeting will come to order. Renata Seals.
Present.
Barbara Rogel Miller.
Present.
Can you please make sure your mics are on also?
Present.
Hubert Massey.
Present.
Tanya Jenkins has requested an excuse. Lolita Haley.
Present.
Kara Clementi.
Here.
Vice Chair Grady Muhammad.
Present.
Chair Betty Mizraca.
Present.
We have a quorum present.
The approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
A second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Approval of the June 24th meeting minutes.
Move to approve the June 24th, 2024 meeting minutes.
Any support?
I'll second that.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Report from the chair. I don't have a report. I'm just glad I'm here. Unfinished business under E. No unfinished business? Wow. New business?
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yes.
I do believe that our unfinished business, we had discussed what we were going to do with our parking situation in the last meeting. And as I recall, our corporation counsel, well, our council gave us some suggestions for things that we could do as it relates to the payment process for our parking. What I think we've got to do next is to make a decision of how exactly we're going to carry it out.
Okay, thank you. Are we going to do that right now?
I believe that we can, ma'am, or
think it's
it
a
could
good
be a
idea.
vote to move to the next meeting. I do see our council's hand up.
Yes, thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I don't know the process of how the payment works because it has to go through the treasurer's office in order to effectuate it. But what I did indicate, and I think there's provisions that have been made previously, because this was an issue that was addressed, I think, 4 or 5 meetings ago. So there should be a collection of disbursements that should accompany those who have incurred parking. I would just say that going forward now that we know that this is in place to save those receipts. And I would just indicate to save the receipts that you do have, but we also created a mechanism for, I believe as we had, your motion was to create a mechanism so that prior to the formal carrying of that motion, I think, which was last meeting, because it had been addressed, I think there was a look back period of, I think, 3 meetings. And there was some means by which, whether it be an honor system or we have an understanding, it's, you know, this is approximately $20 that's incurred by board members over the time. But going forward, the real reason why I was saying that is that if it's not passed today, but to retain those receipts that you have for your parking.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
there are no receipts from the parking lot across the street. I mean, everything's electronic. There are no receipts to save.
It would be, may I, Madam Chair? The receipt, I think, would be on your, if you've paid electronically, it would be your credit card information or the indication from your credit card statement. So yeah, I understand you're not actually given a physical receipt, but because it's being paid electronically, it's even better. You could, and you know, you could also excise that particular portion of the receipt so someone's not looking at your entire, you know, comedy of purchase. purchases.
I'd like to make a comment along these lines. This has been going on for about 6 or 7 months or more,
Longer.
longer,
Say 10 years.
10 years. Why don't we just wrap it up and see? Since they probably, some people don't keep their receipts, some people lose a purse or a wallet or whatever. Why can't we just see what it is that each person has? I don't have any, and I don't know about anybody else. And try to make a, just wrap it up and be done with it, because we'll go on with it forever and ever.
Madam Chair, may I?
Yes.
What you could possibly do is do an amendment and indicate that for those past meetings, you have a set aside for $20 per meeting and do it that way. I think that would cover the cost.
Mhm.
You know, given the service that you pay to this board, I mean, it's a small incursion. So that could be one mechanism that you have, and then we could see if we get pushback from finance, then we'll know, we'll come back to the next meeting and do it. But it would take a motion or an amended motion by your board to get that moving.
It sounds like a good solution. What does the board think?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. As I'm understanding it, I believe the parking structure across the street is $25. And since we have 4 meetings a year minimum, if we did a stipend of $25 for each meeting, which would be $100 to a person, and then you turn your receipts in each meeting. I've spoken with our legislative assistant who could help us with the collection of the receipts, and you just write your name on the receipt so that that could be attributed to you. And then the end of our, I guess we're operating either on fiscal year or calendar year. At the end of that year, there could be an accounting of you had $100. Here's what your parking was. Here's what you owe, or here's what you don't owe. And that way would keep it really simple rather than doing so much every meeting, turning in your receipts, then that's got to go to the treasurer, then the treasurer has to send you a check. That's a lot of activity for something that's just really simple. Yes, ma'am. So that wasn't in the form of a motion, but it was just a thought that I wanted to put out on the table, and I'd like to maybe hear some feedback on that.
Well, it doesn't affect me because I don't do that. So I guess I can say arbitrarily that those that have had that problem, I think Barbara is one of them. I don't know anybody else has had them. But what should we do? We should wrap this up here today to decide.
I agree with
Any
that.
thoughts from the board?
Just one.
Mhm.
I think it should run on the same time frame that we're running on. So we're coming to the end of this budget and the new budget starts October 1st. So I think some decision should be made right now because of that going on. And then, going forward, we'll already have that in place.
I think that's good.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments on it?
So, Madam Chair,
Yes.
with that being the case, I think we have one more meeting before the end of the fiscal year, but we have 2 more meetings before the end of the year. Is that true?
I don't know the answer.
Anybody know?
We have one.
I think
How many more meetings do we have the rest of this year to the end of the calendar year?
So if I may, so the DI, so we meet 3 times a year. So our next meeting would be at the end of November, early December for program plan.
Mhm.
So that's the normal course is 3 meetings a year that the DIA has reporting intervals.
As with us, I think we meet 4 times a year though, right? Don't we meet every quarter?
Through the chair, if you don't mind,
Sorry, ma'am, through the
Yeah.
chair.
there are 4 meetings, typically 4 meetings,
Right,
at least
okay.
4 meetings. a year.
Correct.
So I guess what my thought is, Madam Chair, is to do a stipend that covers us to the end of the year, this year. And then we would unless we decide we want to do a stipend that covers us all the way through to the end of next year's fiscal year. I think that's our decision. We can either go to this fiscal year or we can go to the next fiscal year.
What is the board's thoughts? I think it's to the end of this year, wouldn't it? I would like to see it wrapped up just to the end of this year.
I would too. So that would be 2 meetings that we would have that takes us to the end of the year.
We have one more meeting, that's December 9th.
One more meeting after
Unless there's
today.
a special meeting call for some reason.
Okay. So if there was a stipend given for one more meeting, that would just be $25 for each person that decides to participate, because we should also have an opt-out opportunity as well for folks who have other ways of parking.
So how do we proceed on that?
I can make a cloudy motion.
Well,
Mhm.
I think that's a good start.
I do see the hand of our council.
May I?
Yes,
Madam-
please.
And you're already in the cloudy area and I don't want to make it stormy, but I think that the chair is also speaking about, and chair's more than capable of speaking for herself, but
Mhm.
I think she's also speaking about, we initiated, I think my first meeting was September of last year. And at that time, that conversation was coming up.
Mhm.
And we had, I think, 2 more meetings that year and we might have had a special meeting too. I don't recall, but
I think so.
nonetheless, those meetings also is what we're trying, I think the chair was speaking about capturing is not only moving forward, but how do we look back to where at least we had formally discussed, or you had formally discussed this. And I think that that was part of the motion that was done the last time we were in session, is that it would have a look back period. So to the extent you're proposing going forward, the stipend going forward, $100 per year, then that would capture this entire year. I think this would be the next meeting would be the 4th meeting, but it wouldn't capture the 2 or 3 that were from the year before. So that's where I think that, you're already, like I said, it's murky at this point. So.
So Madam Chair,
Please.
based on that council, if we made the decision to give a stipend of 5 parking experiences now, that would cover the 4 and then maybe an additional one that's in arrears. And I think that we would still be in the good as it relates to what's going on. Now, my question that I would go to our council is, I don't know if folks still have their receipts or anything from previous parking experiences, but we know that people were here in attendance at the meeting, and I guess it's like an honor system thing. So could we say that we were going to do a stipend of 5 parking experiences at $25 each? That would be $125 for those who have gotten parking. And then at the end of the year, pick something up for the next year. Does that make sense?
It does to me. What about anyone else's comment on the board?
Council?
Yeah, may I? Madam?
Yes, please.
I do think that makes sense. I also think that to the extent, because we can put this in play and in motion in principle, and we'll be directed by finance as to whether that's acceptable. There may be a necessity to have, sometimes you have you have an opt-out provision for people who may be downtown already and say, look, I don't need to park because I'm coming down to work anyway. But there may be that little language that you might need as almost like an affidavit that serves as an affidavit. I did attend, I did park, that finance may want. But I think we're at least advancing the ball a little bit forward, and we at least have something in place and be guided by this process through finance. Because I think that after you have agreed upon this in spirit, you've put it in motion and it's a carried motion or a passed motion from last proceeding. I think you're well within your rights to move in that direction. And just, you know, it's a new system and it's not, if we get it wrong, we just come back and fix it.
Fair point, Madam Chair.
Yes.
So what I'm thinking is this. If we send a invoice, I guess, to the treasurer for the $125 for each person that participates in the parking system, then that way the treasurer will disperse a check to each person that does that, and that'll handle this year. Does that sound about right?
We can certainly reach out.
We can certainly reach out and try. And then we can come at the end of the year and decide what we're going to do for the following year. I think that's probably the best way to do it. And then, as the council said, if we provide an affidavit for each person that's participated in a meeting, I mean, our meeting attendance is tracked. We know whether folks were at a meeting or not. So that way we should be covered, I think. Does that sound right
Is
to
there a
everyone?
motion? You making that motion now?
I'm going to make a motion. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. I move that we provide a stipend of $125 to each person who participates in the parking process. With the caveat that there are some who will opt out of the parking process because they have another method for parking, but that we would provide that $125 stipend to folks who are participating in the parking through providing an invoice to the treasurer's office, and then the treasurer's office could mail a check or whatever to those folks who have submitted that. In addition, to satisfy what the council said, if we needed to provide an affidavit that, yes, I did this parking in this year, that could be provided as well if that was something that the treasurer's office needed. So that's a very long motion, but that is the motion that I am making, to provide a $125 stipend to each person who is participating in the parking on the authority, and that would cover for this year only.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Been moved in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
So is that going to be done today? Or? and
Yes.
Started with the process today.
Madam Chair, if I could,
Mm.
is it possible, Mr. Perkins, that you create the paperwork for those of us who need to, like, I know that I'm going to opt out for sure. And is there a way that you can get that so we could submit it all at one time? So
Okay.
that there's a clear understanding of the discrepancy about how many people are on the board and why we're only asking for checks for so many people, or the amount of money can add up when it's submitted. So there won't be a lot of questions going back and forth. Is that an option for you?
So I do think that's a possibility. What I was trying to do, I was sitting here typing and I'm typing to my staff. Hopefully the presentations will be long enough that we could actually get someone to, I suggest that we have both on the same form,
Mhm.
an opt-out
Okay.
provision and a person, so you don't have two different forms.
Right.
And you have that all subsumed into that particular piece, that document. And then, it would be consistent with how many people were present for today. Just like you have a quorum, not everyone's here, but you have a quorum. And you would have, 6 people submitting a document, whether you chose to have, or 7, chose to have reimbursement or opted out. So
Okay.
you at least have, and that would be consistent. So I'm trying to see if I can put that together. I'd like to reduce the name of the motion or that's what I'm gonna be working on. And I'm gonna send that to my team to see whether we
Yes.
can get that done fairly quickly. Okay,
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, please.
I'm thinking also, Mr. Council, that if you could check with our legislative
I was gonna walk
assistants.
around there. once,
Right,
yes.
because she'll know what the attendance was at each meeting, as we have some members who are no longer on the authority now, but they may have attended a previous meeting and will not qualify for the full $125, but could qualify for however many meetings they attended.
Madam Chair.
Yes,
Ma'am.
please.
So what I was in my mind working is that to have three or four check boxes. One,
Mhm.
for today, those individuals who were at the last 5 meetings to check that box to be reimbursed for $125. Then the next box is the opt-out.
Mhm.
And third box would be to check the reimbursement and write in the amount and the number of hearings that you
Yes.
did have. So we could do that today, even though those individuals who are no longer present may still be able to capture the ability to do that later on
Yes.
at another point in time in which perhaps would only do it following the next board meeting. So if we could get that done today and get that circulated today, we can have all 7 in today, even if the last time you had a full board. So that would be my suggestion.
To the chair, should the people that are going to be, should they start looking for the receipts for auditing purposes, just in case? Or do we need to hear from financing or?
What, Madam Chair? Ma'am?
Please.
That's a good question because we sort of escaped that one, right? What I was going to do is include that sort of indication in here that I make this assessment or I sign this receipt under the best of my recollection, almost as an affidavit, not a swear to necessarily, because swear to almost is coming almost like adversarial in a sense. I don't believe this is adversarial. I believe it's just trying to comply and trying to be honest brokers with finance. So that provision in there, and yeah, that did escape me. So
I think you speak very well on that subject.
thank you.
So, Madam Chair, I believe that we have resolved that issue,
Yes,
and I believe that was the only thing left on unfinished business.
so unfinished business is finished. Since we've finished all the unfinished, we can start on a new business when he sits down. New,
Yes.
did you have any other things to say on that?
No, Madam Chair,
Yeah.
I was just speaking with legislative firm to get some of the language, how we would, and also the last date. I couldn't remember the last date of our meeting, which was June 24th. Nothing further.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to the new business.
Under new business, item number 1, a communication from Leslie M. Frame, Harperwood City Clerk, forwarding notification that the Harperwood City Council will hold a public hearing on July 8th, 2024 to consider the designation of a neighborhood enterprise zone pursuant to Public Act 147 of 1992. If I may, through the chair,
I'm sorry.
may I speak?
Yes, please.
Occasionally, the board will receive and files from different municipalities. There's no action that needs to be taken on this other than to say we received it, which we'll have noted. So there is no action. We're just letting you guys know that we received it and we
I
received it.
didn't hear all that you said. I'm sorry.
This is just a receive and file. Occasionally, the board will receive different communications from municipalities.
Okay,
And this is just something that we just need to acknowledge that we received,
okay,
same as with number 2.
thank you. So. now-
So, Madam Chair,
Yes.
and there is a number 2 notification that we received from Harper Woods as well. I would move to receive and file under new business items 1 and 2. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm going to read in number 2 also.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. Number 2 needs to be read, and then once it's read, then I'll make my motion.
Number 2, communication from Harperwood City Clerk for the notification that the Harperwood City Council will hold a public hearing on August 19, 2024, to consider the adoption of a resolution approving a brownfield plan for the property located in the area of 20506 through 20655 Lennon.
I don't. I'd like to understand more on that one. I heard what you said and I'm looking at what it says here. So they want to consider the adoption of a resolution approving a Bloomfield plan. What is that? A brownfield plan.
I'll show you where it is here.
Thank you.
No problem.
Oh, I didn't see that part. We see it before today?
Well, it was received by the commission, and this is the first time it's appearing here afterward, because we didn't have a meeting before.
What do you think about it? I can't read it well because I'm on my glasses.
This is just something that they sent to the board, just to acknowledge it. We just need to acknowledge you received it. If you want, you can definitely call the city of Harperwood to get more information, but this is all that they sent us.
It doesn't say, it says hardly anything though.
This is Pamela Fordham through the chair. The commission or Wayne County also gets these notifications. It's a state law because you are a taxing entity. You are receiving these notifications that one is a neighborhood enterprise zone, the other is a brownfield plan. So per state law, as a taxing entity, they send these notifications. And we also get them at the county and we receive and file them.
Thank you. So, yes, please.
Madam Chair?
Yes, please.
So based on that information, I would like to move to receive and file item 1 and 2 under new business.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carried.
Item number 3 under new business is on the back of our agenda, Madam Chair.
They have here program review from the Detroit Institute of Arts.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Before we get started, I know that we have one new member here, Commissioner Clemente. So, Madam Chair, would you be interested in us doing some introductions before I begin my report?
I think that would,
I think they're talking about that, not me.
I think that would be a good idea. Thank you.
So I'll start. So I'm Julie McFarland. I head up community engagement and public affairs at the DIA.
Well, you do a wonderful job too.
Thank you.
I'm Judith Dolkart. I'm the Deputy Director for Art Education and Programs.
And you do a good job too.
Thank you.
I'm Salvador Salort. I'm the director of the museum.
He's the man about town.
Anthony Smith, Vice President of Learning and Audience Engagement.
Would you repeat that?
Yes, Anthony Smith, Vice President of Learning and Audience Engagement.
Thank you.
And I'm Ian Rapnicki, Public Affairs Officer.
Let me see who you are.
Yes, Lolita Haven.
The best board member.
I accept.
Betty Misuraka.
Barbara Miller.
Kara Clementi, Wayne County Commission, District 4.
Hubert Massey.
The greatest artist in town.
Renata Seals.
Stephen Grady Muhammad.
Thank you. So this is one of the meetings that's required every year, and that is detailed in the service agreement. So this is a half-year review meeting. This is where the DIA comes and presents and lets everyone know kind of where we are at the half-year mark. And we talk a little bit about what we think is going to happen through the end of the year. So in your folders today, you'll find this report. This is kind of a long form narrative report that has a lot of detail on everything that we've done in the first half of calendar year 2024. Our work runs on a calendar year, so we are just beyond the half-year mark. So as usual, we normally just go through a PowerPoint that kind of gives like the high-level points. I'm happy to take any questions that you might have, and then we'll finish up with special exhibition. So I don't know if you have that. Oh, should have come from Susie Corker, but okay. So every once in a while, the PowerPoint doesn't quite make it electronically. So fear not, there's a copy of the PowerPoint in your folder. So we'll just go through this manually today. So I'm going to have Salvador start with the first two slides. I'm going to get into sort of the details on the 4 areas of the service agreement and where we are at the half year. And then Judith Dolkart will finish up with some information on special exhibitions.
Thank you, Julie. I'm going to start with some great news about the museum this current year. We were voted by the USA Today readers, best museum in the United States. And this is the second time that we received this amazing award. It's a great testament of the fantastic work that the DIA team does for the community and the support that we receive from the Wayne County residents. So we're very proud of this, and it's an element of great pride for the team. And, you know, this is the kind of award that speaks to the people that we really focus on, people working in a grocery store, on a gas station. This is not about the individuals who know already a lot about museum. This is about us being accessible and making sure that people, when they come to the museum, have an extraordinary experience. The next slide also speaks about other awards the museum has received. These are the Telly Awards. As you might remember, we have created the digital division in the museum. And in our last meeting, and unfortunately today we cannot play it again, we played a video that showed a visit to the DIA and was filmed with drone technology. This video has won 3 Telly Awards. These are the Oscars for marketing and publicity. And we were competing with very large for-profit companies. So we got gold in arts and culture, gold in museum and galleries, and silver in drone and aerial cinematography. Again, we're so proud that the museum is able to provide amazing experiences to our visitors. This drone video we use not only for marketing purposes, but also when we prepare the schools and the school groups to come into the museum. So it's a great way for the students to see what they are going to be experiencing at the DIA. And we just wanted to start with these awards as a way to thank you for your support and thank the residents of Wayne County that allow us to do the work that we do serving the community. Julie?
Thank you. So the next slide here is the framework slide. This is the slide that will sort of give the outline for my talking points as we walk through where we are at the half-year mark. So this is the first year that we are working under the new service agreement that this group pulled together. We did approve, or this group approved that agreement I think it just passed the first quarter of the year. So we are working to meet the terms of the agreement in this sort of reduced timeframe that we have this year. So the 4 areas are free general admission, the school program, senior program, and community partnership program. So in the next 4 slides, I'm just going to go into a little bit more detail on each of these. So the first one is free admission. So at the half year this year, we are close to 80,000 free admissions, and that is free general admission, and it is unlimited for all Wayne County residents. I'm excited to say that I think in this calendar year, we probably are going to hit the 1.5 million mark of free admissions to the museum for Wayne County for the lifetime of the millage. So I remember back, I think in 2015 or 2016, we hit 1 million across all 3 counties. So it's really great to see each county hit and exceed those milestones all on their own. So free admission, of course, is just that, admission to the museum. We are open 6 days a week. The hours are on that slide. And, you know, free admission is really just the beginning of kind of unlocking everything that we have going on at the museum, whether it is special exhibitions that Judith's going to talk about later. Typically, those are free with general admission. Everything we have planned for this year falls into that category of unticketed. And then access to public programs and events, drop-in art making activities in our studio, and all kinds of other things. So please look at dia.org. We have a great calendar function. If you're looking for something to do on the weekend, look it up and see what we have on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You know, it is, you know, free admission gets you into the galleries, but it really gets you so much more. A lot going on at the museum. The next slide is the school program. So the school program at the half-year mark, we are a little bit over 17,000 students coming to the museum on free field trips. Those free field trips can be guided or unguided, and we do reimburse for transportation for any K through 12 group who wants to come to the museum. Looking at some summary numbers, we're at about 300,000 Wayne County students since the beginning of the millage. So I like to kind of look and see. We've been at this for about 11 and a half years now. So we're racking up some nice numbers and I think some really great impact in Wayne County and the Tri-County region as a whole. So the school program, in addition to the K through 12 free field trips, we also have our teacher professional development. We've had 196 teachers in the first half of the year from Wayne County take advantage of some of our light touch things like Refresh, Restore, Revitalize, and some of our more significant trainings like visual thinking strategies. So we try to have a good roster of teacher PD. Some of them are more introductory and some of them are, as we say, a deeper dive as part of that relationship building and making a variety of opportunities available. And I did want to note for this group, I know this group was particularly interested in us making sure that we did targeted outreach to the Juvenile Detention Center Charter School. So we've been working on that. I'm happy we finally got them on the hook and got them interested. So they're going to be coming to the museum, I think, for 1 or 2 different trainings, 2. two different trainings. So we are excited about developing that relationship. This falls right into the category of K through 12 schools. But of course, you know, the way that this charter school operates in particular has some different challenges, different formats. So we're looking forward to just talking to them and figuring out how we can integrate them into this program or do something that is in particular meets their special needs. So thank you, everyone here, for helping to make that connection. It's great to see when these things start to bear fruit. So appreciate that.
Can I just interrupt you there?
Sure.
I think that's one of the most important things I've heard since I've been on the board. You're going to change these people, these children's lives by informing them. They probably didn't know anything about it before you bring them in and they understand.
Yeah, and really working through the teachers, the teachers are the ones who are going to be able to embrace, the opportunities available at the museum, whether it's using, resources and lesson plans online, or participating in something in a virtual aspect. So
This is a story for the newspaper, for the news, to show what we're trying to do for the youth of the area.
yeah, thanks, Betty. That's our Madam Chair. That's a great point. So we'll keep you informed when we have them out. I think they're coming out on a Saturday. We're hammering out the details right now, but the good news is that we have a partner, there who's willing to, get the group together and work with us. So
If I could, Madam Chair, I just wanted to thank Stephen Grady Muhammad for spearheading that with you, Julie. He pushed and pushed and pushed and made the connections that were necessary to help that program start and go that extra mile. So I just wanted to thank our board member, Stephen Grady, for initiating that that opportunity for those children. So thank you. Okay.
How can we make that known to the public so that they'll understand what's going on where we're trying to change the lives of these children? How can we?
I guess
I don't
maybe
know if we can
through
resolve it today, but I think we should.
our
figure out-
board, I guess through our board, we can do a little PR there and see what we can do. We'll make some phone calls to each other to see about that. But so many programs are introduced and people are not always given the proper accolades for it. And again, like I said, thank you, Stephen, for even bringing that to the table, because that was not a discussion for any of us before you brought it to the table. So thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. And I think we can work on, maybe putting a little bit of PR together as we kind of get into, the first event and talk about how to kind of spread that news. The school program also, in the agreement that we all, worked on together for the last year and a half, the DA is going to begin piloting an in-school program. So we have identified a partner in concert with Wayne Risa. We are going to be approaching Van Buren schools to see if they are interested in working as our pilot partner on an in-school program. So I'll have more information about that as we work on that partnership and get ready for piloting this program in the first half of 2025 calendar year. Moving on to the senior program. So the senior program, the traditional senior program, is docent-led or self-guided group visits to the museum. If a group has at least 25 participants, we will also pay and arrange for that bus transportation to the museum. Our Melodies at the Museum program, in addition, is a monthly group offering, and that is going very strong. We are working on scheduling for calendar year 2025. We piloted it in 23, kind of at the end, and as we're approaching our first full year of that program in 2024, we're finding it is very well received. If you look in your long form report, of course, you'll find every group who came for the senior program. And then you'll also find every group who participated in behind the scene art talks. So behind the scene art talks are our in-community group offering for seniors. There's a list of different talks that senior group organizers can sign up for, and we will send a docent out to a location in the community to deliver that talk. So I think we had 26 behind the scene art talks in the community in the first half of this year, and we had 33 group visits to the museum. Our goal is 60, so we're tracking to get to 60 by the end of the year with 33 at the half year. And then lastly, a little bit about community partnership programs. I, always begin with Inside Out. Inside Out is in its 14th year in 2024. 15, something like that. In 2024, these are the communities that we're in right now. And then in addition, we have longstanding partners, a short list of those. We did recently complete a new contract with the folks at Detroit Metropolitan Airport at the Warren Evans Terminal. So we're excited about possibilities over the next 2 or 3 years with that group. We did update all of the panels, the information panels this year to just make a stronger connection to the museum. So when people are going through the airport, they can kind of get a taste of what they could see if they came to the museum and kind of make that connection, and hoping that travelers, coming in and out will think about taking advantage of everything the DIA has to offer.
Can you explain that a little bit better to me? What you just said? Because I was at the airport just a couple weeks ago and I didn't see that.
So we are in the Evans terminal.
Yeah,
We are
I'm
not in the other terminal.
The Evans Terminal.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think we have, I can't remember how many pieces are there.
If I could, Madam Chair.
Yes, please.
I was just about to say, first of all, thank you guys for doing that. I remember when we started that process, Barb Miller and Betty Mizuraka we were part of another group, and they brought up art at the airport. And I thought it was the most wonderful idea I had ever heard in my entire life. So I put all of my energy and resources to try to help get that done. And a few years ago, it happened. I remember doing the opening of that. So there's artwork on the walls at the best terminal there is in the state of Michigan, that Warren C. Evans terminal. So the artwork is there. It has been changed out. It looks great. If you would like to get a private tour one day, maybe we can make that happen, but it is a phenomenal thing that's going on there. I want to thank you guys for continuing on and working that out with the airport, because we know that dealing with the airport, any airport, it's tough. So just to have that artwork there with all of the new programs and all of the awards and accolades that the airport is getting, it's like the #1 airport in the country almost at this time. And I just think that you guys have done a phenomenal job of keeping that up, and thank you. But again, I want to give a shout out to our board members, Barbara Miller and Betty Mizuraka, for having the foresight, the idea of even doing that, because that was not even on my radar. And I was so happy to be a part of that, and so honored to be a part of that, making that happen. So again, our board members are pushing forward and making things happen throughout the county. Just again, thank you guys for, being so helpful with the DIA and the airport and pushing that whole program. That was awesome. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Actually, the airport has really been a pleasure to work with. There's some really great staff members, really responsive, and seem to really embrace the program. So our Inside Out program, the
Madam Chair,
application.
I'm
Yep.
sorry, Julie, to interrupt you. the Inside Out program, 2024 partners, and some of the cities that were selected. I don't really see anything on here of like downriver area, and one of our members here serves Ecorse, Lincoln Park, Melvindale, River Rouge, and part of Detroit. And I do see Detroit on here, but I don't see anything else like from downriver. Is there something that we can do downriver to activate them or maybe partner with?
If I may, through the chair, thank you for that. We have had the program. I think we've had it in Lincoln Park, we've had it in Ecorse. I think there is maybe some other cities that could benefit from it, but they have to apply, and I'll be more than happy to work on that. But we have had it downriver, and even where I live further downriver would be nice to see. So
Yes.
that'll be something that I can work with. So thank you for bringing that up, and thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Julie.
Yes, thanks for pointing that out. I mean, we really try to do a good, geographic spread every year.
Yes.
The application to participate is out right now. It closes on the 15th, so the end of this week. It's been out for about 2 months now. I know I have sent notes to this group when we launched the application. I probably have sent reminders. You guys might get sick of getting this in your email inbox, but we've been distributing that to the county commission, past the Inside Out partners that we haven't been to in a couple years, just reminding them they're eligible to apply again.
Through the chair. Yes, please. If I could be so bold and ask for if my communities have applied, or if you could give us a listing of some areas that you would like that maybe we could tap into some way, if it's not too much.
No, not at all. And I mean, the application is open right now. So we've been kind of looking in there and doing some of our outreach as we can, hoping that we get, a good selection to come in by the 15th. If we don't, I mean, so we can share what comes in. Certainly, I'd be happy to share that. And there is a little bit of buffer there. So once we get the applications in, we kind of continue to do that outreach if we need to sort of fill that map in.
I have another question, Madam Chair, if you don't mind. So speaking of Detroit's so large. How do you do this with Detroit? Is it by district? Is it by neighborhood? Is it by community group? How do you do Detroit?
So it's different every year. I mean, you'll see in 2024, we have 2 Detroit locations, and we are looking at, we look at Detroit a little bit differently. We've done some outreach to the, like on a district basis. Last year we were at Mama Shoes in Highland Park. So we look to develop relationships with some of those maybe smaller groups. We kind of approach Detroit a little bit different than we do, all of the cities and municipalities outside of Detroit. So I think Detroit is where so, we've got, I don't want to put the horse before the cart and talk about what we're doing in 25, but we do have a couple of areas in Detroit that we think make sense. So we're doing a little bit of outreach. There are communities that may not have thought about themselves in this program. So we're doing that outreach to see what we can drum up. So. And then just moving on to other community partnership programs. Here's a list of programs that we've been working on in the first half of the year, and a few that are coming up. Of course, we had our Wayne County High School Student Art Exhibition that was kind of evolved as that exhibition came down out of the museum at the end of June or end of July. We were able to take the wonderful suggestion that we got at the opening event to bring it down here to the Guardian building. So you'll see it out here in the chambers hallways. You'll see it down in the promenade and then on the county executive's floor. So we were excited to get that suggestion when we were having our opening and be able to turn around and make that happen this year. So I hope that everyone gets a chance to admire some of this artwork. Of course, you know, these things cycle through pretty quickly. So we'll be looking at getting the word out for art teachers for this fall to make sure that they're sharing this opportunity with their students. If anyone on this board has any suggestions on how to help us with that outreach, right now we're doing targeted mailings. We mail to every high school, and this is really, you know, we're still building this exhibition. So any way that you can think of for us to help, you know, help us get the word out, we're happy to arm you with materials to share. So, you know, this is an exhibition that's growing, not only, you know, growing in stature at the museum, but growing right outside of the museum and the Guardian Building.
Through the chair.
Yes, please.
And thank you, Julie, for that. I think this is a great opportunity for the kids to connect to, you know, the premier art institute in the world. A question that I have is, do you have a list of the different schools that have participated over the couple, 2-3 years so that we could look at it and maybe see where we're hitting it and where we're missing it, and maybe we can help you to get some word out there?
Thank you. That's a great idea. I don't have it with me today, but I can follow up with that list of
Thank you.
schools.
Thank you.
And then, you know, other community partnership programs, Concert of Colors, that's a big campus-wide event that we have the second week in July. That was part of the first half of the year. Our community studio group program, libraries, recreation centers, and community groups. Barbara Miller has always been so helpful in helping us, you know, identify groups that would be interested in coming to the museum. And, you know, if we get a group of 25 or more from a community, we can provide the bus transportation for that too. So I thank you, Barbara. I know that you and Maria spearheaded the group at the first half of this year. So appreciate your help in that.
I contacted First Step, which has a facility out our way. I don't know other facilities, but I contacted First Step. I don't know whether they followed through, but I did talk to their program director. And I also contacted, we have a foster care facility in our community called, it was called Girlstown. I forget what it's called now. But they're juveniles who were in abusive homes. They're stable and they're, you know, they're not problem kids. So I contacted them to have them arrange, and the DIA was very gracious because they're not a group of 25. There are like only 12 girls that live in, and the DIA agreed to send a bus out for them.
That's great. Thank you, Barbara, for making that connection too. I'll definitely follow up and see if we've heard from them. If we haven't, I'll send you a note and maybe we can
Contact them again.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. So as I said, you know, there's a lot of detail in your long form report. This is the first year of the new agreement, but we're really kind of, you know, that agreement was put together outside of the first quarter. So the other program that we're really going to be working on in the second half of the year is our Partners in Public Art program. That's the mural program that this group put into the agreement. Our application to participate in that is also out. That application is out till September 1st. So that's available to cities, townships, municipalities in Wayne County. There's a lot of structure to that program. So I encourage you to, I can resend the email, but please, you know, share that with any community that you think might be interested in the Partners in Public Art mural program, because we identify our partners now in order to get the work done and completed in the next calendar year.
Madam Chair. Sorry to interrupt you, Julie. I think it's important for us to look at when folks on the authority partner with the Institute and provide great opportunities for our communities. Two things come to mind. The first thing is the Wayne County High School Art Student Exhibition. I believe, Member Seals, that was something that you brought to the table in taking a look at giving our youth an opportunity to partner with the DIA. And I've attended at least one of them, and to see the impact on the children, the impact on their parents, here they are in the DIA, which is like the epitome of where you can be. You know, so Member Seals, I want to thank you for your vision to do that partnering and to give our kids that opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Then the second thing that I want to mention, last year it was burning up. I was out on Livernois for the Jazz on the Ave. But as I'm looking around, I'm seeing all this art, and I'm realizing the leadership of Lolita Haley, our treasurer, out on Livernois for Jazz on the Ave and partnering with you all where people could get exposure to that is just a phenomenal thing. So Member Haley, I want to thank you as well for partnering with the DIA. And this is just an example of the things that we can do where we know in our communities there are gaps to plug DIA in. I'm just really excited about this opportunity and what you're doing with the juvenile detention facility. I cannot tell you how that has touched my heart because I've been in there. I've been in there when there was no staff in there and they needed somebody to come in and help the children to get meals and to get phone calls and things of that nature. So going to the next level to expose them to art, we're going to find someone in there that has a talent that may even touch Hubert Massey's talent. We're going to find them in there, and that's just a beautiful thing. I'm excited. Thank you for everything you're doing.
Yes.
Inside Out, I want to thank you again.
Is your mic on? Yeah.
No, it's
One more time. Good.
It's green now.
Mhm.
I want to thank you for the Inside Out. That was one of the first things that really excited me about the Inside Out on Livernois, to actually be able to see and touch art, what made it relatable to many of us. And through that process, I've seen different opportunities where the impact and the expectation, it has grown for us. We started off with the bus where you came, and now we have things that we can actually touch and see. And then with Renata, one step, it's like the train gets to going and we see different opportunities. But I had a couple of questions about forming these partnerships going on and where is the best place in terms of location. I know that's not an easy job, and I'm not even trying to suggest that I know how to do your job, but I'm curious, and you mentioned some about some locations are a little bit different, and you said about Detroit, and it is a big difference, and this young lady downriver, but how does that shape in how you see it as to where you place it, what pictures you choose, and what was the difference that you said Detroit, you know, I'm gonna ask you, what's difference about Detroit and down where she lives? Because I see the same people living everywhere. How does that work?
If I may, I know the question, but I think she was talking about the Inside Out. Downriver has cities. We have cities where Detroit has neighborhood groups, community groups. So it's probably, we deal with more cities in the downriver area because we're so close together, where Detroit has lots of different community groups and areas, but I'll let you, it is the same people all over the place, but it's just, you know, when you deal with city municipalities where Detroit's so big.
Well, see, right, what she said, we're on the same group. It's perception. How I perceive how you present it and how she perceives you present it to communities and how we collectively come together. Because what she just talked about with the art with the children, art is universal. So the kids can come from that area or here, but when you shape it and bring it to you, you don't see where they live. You see the art in itself, right? And some of us respond to art differently. So it was just curious, you know, curiosity for me. I think about a lot of different things and perception and my narrative. What you teach me or tell me is how I repeat the narrative about the relationship that I have with you, which helps all of us. You know, we want to be a part of the good stuff, the change, you know, not the problem, solutions.
Thank you. And yes, Commissioner Clemente clarified, you know, that we approach Detroit differently just because we wouldn't just pick one Detroit and say, okay, we're done with Detroit. Like we have to kind of approach it differently just because of the size and the way it's organized. So, and you did ask a question about how the artwork is selected for Inside Out. You know, that's really in partnership with the community. So we make this available. The community applies for it, you know, expresses an interest. There needs to be a champion from the community who's wanting to work with us and bring this, you know, to their area. And then they work with our community engagement managers and look through what we have available and help. They pick things that they think will resonate with their neighborhoods or that will play well in a certain park or play well in front of the library. It either kind of goes along with the theme or maybe it contrasts. So that selecting the artwork, that's something that really happens. You know, the community has a lot to say in what pieces they want to bring.
Organic.
Mhm.
I have a question.
Thank you.
How does the community get engaged?
So the application to participate is open right now.
But I'm
And-
saying, excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but say I live in Ghost Point. I never seen it in the paper at all about it in Ghost Point.
So we've been in Grosse Pointe recently. I don't think we were there last year, but we rotated around all of the different Grosse Pointes. I'm trying to remember if we have an application in yet for this year. I think we will be in that area.
Who do you contact out there?
So we send it to like city managers, DDAs. It's in the paper, it's on our website. We send that we send the call for participation to all of the county commissioners. We send it to the state reps and state senators that are in the Tri-County area. So we push that out. And, you know, you're certainly welcome to share that, but we've had Grosse Pointe, the Grosse Pointes separate as partners over previous years. So we send to the people that we've partnered with in the past, kind of making sure that we have someone from each community.
Well, I get the papers out there and I never see anything in it all these years in Ghost Point. So somebody's dropped the ball somewhere along the line.
In Grosse Pointe.
In Ghost Point, right.
Yeah, and you asked another good question about sort of engagement. So once it's up, you know, that's really the community can do whatever they want to do with it. We're there to support their vision for how they want to activate it. So they might want to organize a tour out in the community and then come down to the museum, see their pieces and, you know, the whole museum. They might want to organize bike trips, ribbon cuttings. So anything the community wants to do to sort of lift that up, activate it and highlight it, we're there to support that work for them.
I don't want to stay on this too long, but I want to understand it. Because if I live in Ghost Point and I've been out there 25 years or so, I never seen anything in the paper. So how do we get the people in the paper to carry the message to the community?
Call them.
Well, I know, but I didn't know how to do that. I mean, I didn't know we were doing all this, so that's.
So we do a press release, when we announce the communities, we do a press release when they get installed. So the Grosse Pointe News actually has reached out and gotten more information from us. I believe they have covered it. I mean, it's probably a weekly, so you may see it coming in your mailbox every week. May have missed it, but I can pull some of that for you. And I can send you the list of communities in Grosse Pointe, like when they've participated. But let's keep talking because the application is open. We'd love to be out on that side of town this year for sure.
Okay, we'll talk on the phone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
if I could talk to Julie. I think it was a year ago, I was on a phone call with the leadership from the city of Belleville and the DIA, and the DIA was running like a conference call on what to do after you got the inside out. Organized bike trips, organized walks, was very informative and very, very helpful. And I hope that's a part of the program, training the community what to do with the inside out. I thought it was very helpful.
Oh, thank you for participating in that. So we do an orientation where we have everyone down in the museum. We have a nice breakfast. Salvador comes down and meets everybody. And, you know, just kind of going through all the nuts and bolts of standing that up. And then we also make available, like through a Zoom meeting, just sort of some touch bases and helping them activate. So sometimes they like to come to the museum. It's great to have the in-person orientation, but it's also good to follow up with a virtual one. You know, they can pull in more people from the community too if they have a virtual one. So thanks for participating in that. So that concludes kind of where we are with the 4 different areas of the service agreement. Like I said, there's a lot of detailed information in the narrative report. I understand, you know, looking at spreading the word for the Wayne County High School Art Exhibition. I'll provide that list of schools so that you all can be informed to maybe help identify some schools that we want to give a second, third, and fourth nudge to. But that being said, I'd like to turn it over to Judith to detail our special exhibitions for this remainder of this year.
Good morning, everyone.
Madam Chair? I'm sorry, before we go over to Judith, a question, Julie. We had been introduced to a young lady that was our liaison, and I can't remember her name, but you're seeming to be more of our liaison than this person. What is her role? Is she still working with us?
Yes.
Can she start attending these meetings, or are you the person that we should go to?
So on the back of the PowerPoint, there's always my contact information and Ian's contact information. You're referring to Sharon Harrell, who had a paid day off today.
Okay.
We actually have 2 community engagement managers. So both community engagement managers work on behalf of Wayne County, Oakland County, and Macomb County. So my community engagement managers work across the Tri-County area as I do and as Ian does.
Okay. So I don't want to become confused.
No.
A single point of contact, I go to you for everything.
Yes, we do.
Please.
We
Please
go to
do.
you for
Please do.
everything, you know. Okay.
Yeah, and you know, come to me, come to Ian. I mean, certainly we may not be the person that carries the water on a request. We may send that to someone else on our team. But you know, Ian and I are a good point of contact for you. And then we'll make sure that it gets covered, whether it's by me, Ian, or one of our community engagement managers, or we actually have a third person, community person who works on the Partners in Public Art program in the Wayne County High School Art Show. Her name is Ani. So she's the person for that. So if you contact Ian and I, we'll be able to
Then
distribute.
you'll sort it out
Yes,
to
yes.
whoever. Okay, I understand. I was confused because I thought this person was our liaison, and we weren't really seeing them engaged as much, but I see they're more so behind the scenes. Once we have done an initial reach or something like that, then you pass some work to them and they carry some stuff
Yeah,
out.
and our community engagement managers are the one who do all the work on Inside Out.
Mhm.
So when Inside Out is being installed, it would be one of the two community
Gotcha.
engagement managers or both of them working across Wayne County.
Okay.
Barbara has a.
I have Julie's number and Julie could testify that I called her often. Ian, I don't have your phone number. Oh, it's on the front of I'll put it in my phone. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. I'm really happy to talk about the exhibition. So that'll be the next slide in your packet. Opening on May 5th of this year, we had TIFF Massey 7 Mile in Livernois, and that runs until May 11th of 2025. It's proven to be a hugely popular show, and whenever we're down in there are lots of people. TIFF Massey creates installations, public art, and wearable sculptures inspired by adornment. She was trained as a metalsmith at Cranbrook, and she scales up her jewelry to the size of architecture, creating sculptures that celebrate Detroit's evolving neighborhoods and the history of West African and Black American culture and style. She merges her art with meaningful community engagement to explore the relationship between identity, public space, and community. 7 Mile in Livernois refers to the neighborhood at the heart of Detroit's Black business and fashion district, and it's also where Massey grew up, and the site of a new art and community space that she's building that blends her craft and with her drive for community kinship. This is the most ambitious exhibition to date that the DIA has done, and it's with a local artist. So that's really a testament to the creativity in our city and beyond in the region. The show includes several new sculptures that the DIA commissioned, and those are in conversation with works in the collection that TIFF herself found meaningful to her when she was growing up and coming to the museum. She reimagines art's role in the community and offers a vibrant and inclusive view of Detroit. And she has done a number of public programs, TIFF, and they are incredibly well attended, very gripping for audiences and emotional. So if you have a chance to come, we'll make sure you know about programs that she's doing, but it's well worth your time. The next show.
Through the chair. Madam Chair, I want to let DIA know that TIFF Massey has really touched a lot of the youth on social media. I see them talking about it, and that just excites me because it's like we're opening up to a whole younger group of folks who may not have been engaged before. So as you continue to do things like this, I'm loving it. I'm loving it because it's just, to me, it's just opening up to maybe some folks who weren't quite as engaged before. They're becoming engaged now. So please keep that up. That's great.
Thank you for saying that. When we are down in the galleries, we see a lot of young people.
Yes.
And when we had a public opening, it was, I think, over 800 people were there, many very young people. So, and many from the artistic community. So, or people who follow TIFF on social media. So thank you for saying that. This fall, we're opening a new show. It's called The Art of Dining, Food Culture in the Islamic World. And it runs from September 22nd of this year to January 5th of next year. This show really explores the joys of convivial dining and breaking bread together. There are more than 200 works from the Middle East, Egypt, Central and South Asia, and beyond to explore connections between art and cuisine from ancient times to the present day. And you'll see in the show paintings of elaborate feasts, vessels for food and drink, and historical cookbooks that show how culinary cultures have thrived in the Islamic world for centuries. And you'll see, you know, with the cookbooks, I'm looking forward myself to trying out some of those recipes. The show, again, highlights the relationship of these works to preparing, serving, and enjoying food. And the show will engage multiple senses. And I just want to turn it over to Salvador for a minute to talk about conversations in the community.
Thank you, Judy. We're very excited about this exhibition that we are working with Los Angeles County Museum. We have been reaching out to communities in Oakland, Wayne, and Macomb County, and recently we had a couple of great meetings with Osama Siblani at the Arab American News, as well as Mayor Abdullah Hammoud in Dearborn. So it's really exciting. We were also present at the Dearborn Homecoming a couple of weekends ago, promoting the exhibition. Us, bringing this amazing cuisine and traditions and protocol, and how the protocol of this food culture is done. So very good show. Very excited to bring the Arab American community into the building. And we have confirmed that the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times are sending their reporters to do a couple of articles regarding the show. So among other news outlets, but very, very, very excited.
Thank you, Salvador.
I just have a comment through the chair. Abdullah and I served in the legislature together, and he always bragged that Dearborn had the best food. So very excited. I love food.
Yeah, I think this show, because everyone can relate to food culture and dining with friends, we hope will be very, very popular. Then later this fall, we have our annual exhibition, Ofrendas, celebrating the Day of the Dead. This opens September 28th and runs through November 3rd, 2024. And it's always a huge audience from the schools. That really, in some ways, kicks off their field trip season, because the earlier part of September, they're just getting into the classroom and getting accustomed to that daily rhythm. But in celebration with the Day of the Dead, the Detroit Institute of Arts, in partnership with Detroit's Mexican Consulate, the Southwest Detroit Business Association, and the Mexican Town CDC, invite everyone to explore a community exhibition of ofrenda altars. This is a time of year in Latin American countries to celebrate the lives of close relatives and friends or community members who've passed away. So this is an exhibition in which we invite participation from anyone who wants to submit an altar. And then it's a juried selection. And I think this year we have 11, which is about the usual number. So it's really exciting. You really see people's emotion coming out and their ties to the people in their community. The installations include sugar skulls, candles, flowers, paper cutouts, and other decorations. So I hope you will come and see that. And then finally, in December 13th, 2024 through June 15th, 2025, we're opening an exhibition called Painted with Silk, the Art of Early American Embroidery. And this show is all about how girls in early America, in the earliest days, learned some of their most essential skills, which was to read, to write, and to sew. And learning how to sew meant that you could be a good mother and take charge of the household in a meaningful way. But this is also an opportunity for early creativity in the country from children. The show will include about 80 unusually beautiful and well-preserved examples of this very, very fragile art. It draws on local collections, which is really wonderful. And it will also have a contemporary component. There's an artist called Elaine Rychek. She's New York based, and she works with embroidery, much like this, but often with sort of different messages. In some ways, casting a critical eye on the art form. So it's a really, really exciting show. I know that children will be really engaged to see the accomplishment of children who are 7, 8, 9 years old. So again, we're hoping that this show will be very popular with schools, and it will run for the whole second half of the school year. Thank you.
I'd like to add one final thought on Judith's very good presentation. Unlike most of museums in the United States, these exhibitions will be free for residents in Wayne County. We were able to raise the funding to support the cost of these exhibitions, And therefore, all exhibitions, the 4 of them, are free for residents of Wayne County.
Thank you. Going back to what you just said there, I think that I don't know how to express what I'm trying to say simply, but how do we get this message out to all the community? Because I don't think the papers pick it up enough. And I don't, I live in Grosse Pointe and I read that paper and I read the other papers, news. I don't ever see much about the DIA.
Well, the marketing department has been working very hard and very successfully on recent exhibitions. The Tiff Massey exhibition was covered by the Detroit News and the Free Press and other newspaper outlets. We've been working with the Arab American News, with Osama Siblani, especially for the art of dining. And we have the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times coming to Detroit to cover these exhibitions. So we're working and putting as much focus as possible to make sure the word is out. Any suggestions that you have for us, let us know. It's very important, as you mentioned, Madam Chair, that people know about it. Our efforts go in person. We were at the homecoming, Dearborn homecoming,
At the Dearborn?
homecoming 2 weekends ago in person there with our teams, announcing the exhibition to the community as well. We had a table with activities for them. So we're doing everything we can. We know how important, as you say, it is that the message is out, because if people don't come, all the work that we have done is like almost doesn't exist. So we really want people to benefit from these amazing exhibitions.
How could we implement this in terms of maybe going to the Grosse Pointe South or Grosse Pointe North schools and talking, or to the Belleville schools talking? How can we do this? I mean, I don't think we can settle it today, but I think we should be looking at how to do that.
Absolutely, be in touch with our with Julie and our marketing team, and we'll have the word out. I will also say that with my colleague Tony Smith, we reach out to the schools. There are specific programs that we do with the schools. So when the kids come to the museum, they have the opportunity to visit this exhibition with educational materials.
Thank you.
I could just add to that, when teachers call to schedule a field trip, our group reservations team, they'll tell them what is possible to see. So it's another, I won't say face-to-face, but phone-to-phone discussion of what's on view, and encouragement to see these projects.
Well, the reason I asked, because when I was down at the museum, I don't know whether it was 2 or 3 months ago when Hubert was there, and those kids were standing in line, they're mesmerized by what Hubert was doing. And so how do we get that excitement out into the whole community? I mean, we can't do it today, but I just throw it out there to consideration to see what we can do, because those kids were, I mean, they were standing still watching Hubert. So, I don't know. I'm sorry, go ahead.
We do have our we do have our Educators Night Out coming up very shortly, where educators come to the cultural center area and particularly into the DIA, and we talk to them about upcoming programs. Certainly, we will be sharing that information with them at that time. We also have publications and literature going out to the schools to encourage field trips that would include the exhibition, The Art of Dining. So we're getting the word out there.
Let me know when you are doing that.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Through the chair, I'd like to thank you all once again for your impact with our Jazz on the Avenue. And I think in a couple of hours, we had over 150. So that means every year it's increasing. So that's a good story. The numbers make us all feel good. And art experience, thanks to Renata and also to Massey, through your efforts, they've widened the art experience because she brought in other artists and Hubert and his family. So it was a wider experience. So your sensories almost got overloaded. You know what I'm saying? So those are the things that make you feel good. We all talk about what we didn't do, but we also appreciate what you can do. And we were quite impressed. And it shaped us too, because just instead of just having vendors for all these many years, we shaped it to service and giving back. And how difficult is that? And I have to thank Renata, because she was hard line. I don't care what they selling, they'll have to go buy it somewhere else. It's gonna be visual of what you can experience, and it's for the whole family. And I was totally impressed with that, with the children. When you see them not hitting each other and running and jumping and eating and touching and looking, okay, I want to go do this. I want to go over there and do that. So that's a good day for me. And it stimulates. I don't know what the final numbers are. We told the girl, I can't wait to see your report when you go back to your boss, because you had a lot of kids. They ran out of everything.
I just wanted to add, like Stephen Grady said about Jazz on Ave about a year ago, it was very hot. It was 88 degrees that day. And the DIA serviced over 150 children with art making projects. I believe they were making tambourines or something and coloring tambourines. It was an awesome experience, but I just wanted to put on the record that it was 88 degrees.
Yeah, thank you. Right, so what's where I'm on? So
Here, we're on item number 4.
So one last thing that you'll find in your packet, and it was distributed from our office before the meeting, is the Plant Moran, it's agreed upon procedures report. So this report, Plant Moran comes in at the end of every year. And they review everything that we allocated towards our service agreement goals. So this is agreed upon procedures because it doesn't necessarily follow exactly all of the detail that an audit would. And this is really like a program review. So I've included in your packets. I'm happy to answer any questions. They did not identify any exceptions. So what that means is everything that we allocated to the service agreement that they tested, they looked at and they agreed that, yes, you know, this was a bus subsidy for a school group from Wayne County who came to the museum. This was a bus subsidy for a senior group who came to the museum, or in, you know, a bill that we paid on behalf of our fabricator for Inside Out. So they test in each category, and this was a favorable report. They didn't identify anything that was inappropriately allocated. So this, we've been doing this every year since we've had the service agreement, and this fulfills the service agreement detail that asks for a program review at the end of the year. So I just wanted to bring this to the group, file this. This is for calendar year 2023. We're going to be meeting with Plant Moran in the next couple months because we do have a new service agreement. So we're going to be going through that with them very carefully so that they can sort of decide if they want to make any changes to the procedures and understand all the detail of what that new agreement is, so that when we go for our review at the end of 2024, they're prepared to review all of the work that we did under the new terms of the new agreement.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I would really like to postpone our discussion of this report until maybe our next meeting. There's a lot of information in here, and just seeing it today, I need a little bit of time to kind of go over it, and I may have some questions and things like that. And also, no one from Plant Moran is here today at all to speak to this. I appreciate you all being here and knowing what's going on, but I'd also like to have someone, maybe whoever prepared this report from Plant Moran, to attend and be able to answer some questions that we have. There's a lot of information in this report, and I'm just not prepared today really to discuss it.
So you suggest we wait till the next meeting?
I'd like to make a motion that we wait until next meeting to discuss this report and that we request that someone from Plant Moran be here to speak to any questions or anything that we may have about the report.
So that's, do we have a second on that?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Discussion.
Discussion?
And then also, for our council, I don't know if there's something that you may look at in this report where you might advise us of some questions or concerns or things that we need to be aware that we could have prior to our next meeting, just so that we're, prepared and lined up. This is a very important report. And I'm seeing that it was published on May 13th of this year, but this is the first that we're seeing it, I'm thinking. So I just want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence and being given enough time to go over it and ask any questions or anything like that.
Through the chair.
Yes, please.
Thank you, board member. What I will may even suggest is that, the questions that board members may have, if you could direct them to me and I could be a vehicle to communicate with Plant Moran, who I'm sure, I've dealt with them in other municipalities and, they're more than willing to answer those questions so that at least I could be able to provide those answers, not at the next meeting.
Right.
And it could almost be perfunctory if there's nothing wrong. So, which, for the most part, I have no reason to suggest it would be
Right.
anything wrong. So if that would be a manner in which we could proceed, Madam Chair, if the board members, if they reviewed the report and had some questions and concerns, if I did, I would also do that. And, perhaps to Julie, I could make contact with Plant Moran if there were any questions, and so that we could have those things perhaps resolved or answered before December.
December 9th is our
December
next
9th.
meeting.
Fully agree.
So
We have a motion to pass this item for the day. Motion by Stephen Grady Muhammad, supported by Barbara Girl Miller.
is that agreed to now? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carried. I have a statement, and it may not be in order, but when we have a great artist like Hubert Massey on the board, and he does that beautiful, beautiful painting on St. Jean and Jefferson. And every time I go by there, I get off Jefferson and look at it. How can we put that out in the public eye? Do we have to get the newspapers to follow it? Because a lot of people go traveling on Jefferson, probably don't even know it's there. So how do we get that message to the public? That's because it's not on the route, you have to go look for it. So how do we do that? And other ways of art too. So I don't know, we can't solve it today, but we should be thinking about that.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Madam Chair, I had the same experience that you did. Over the weekend, I attended, a friend of mine had a pop-up shop, one of the largest pop-ups that happens in this area. And I was over at Huntington Place, and there's this big piece of artwork up on the wall, and I'm reading the caption of it, and it's Hubert Massey. And I'm like, wow. I just wonder where all his artwork is and how can we, like you said,
Let the
having
public know, let the public
an
know.
artist like this on the Art Authority who has such a depth and breadth of works, how can we do something to bring it to people's attention? Because it's beautiful and it's amazing. I agree with that. I don't think we have a PR person. I know that DIA has a PR person. Maybe, I don't know, you could assist us. I don't know what could occur, but we definitely need to do something to make more people aware.
I remember when he was in Cobo Hall, maybe 10 years ago or 11 years ago, and he was doing something at Cobo Hall, this
Mhm.
beautiful art. So it should be followed, like he's on this board and all the things that he's done in the community. And us, community being the whole area, I think would be a wonderful story for the paper and for the community to be aware of it and for the community to know what we're doing. So I don't know how to implement that. I think, or maybe we should get a committee together to think about it. I don't know how to proceed with that.
Oh, that is a thought, Madam Chair, and maybe, I don't know, maybe DIA's public relations can promote a story that talks about the great partnership that we've been able to develop as an arts authority and the DIA and how we're working together to push things out. And some of the great things that we've talked about at this table here today, we know about it. But then once you get away from the table, who else knows about it? So I'm wondering what we could do there. That is definitely a great idea.
Through the chair. I just want to mention that I've been very well informed today about everything. I thought I knew some things, but really learned a lot. And I think that coming before the commission would be very important. We need to have you there so all 14 other commissioners can
Yes.
hear about this. I'll do my part to get everything out, but I think it's very important that we get you in front of the commission. I think that not only paper, but social media. And then a lot of my people watch TV. Is there anything that you do on, and I know it's very expensive, but I also did not know that you came to festivals. So I think there is a lot that we can do. Word of mouth, it's very important. And seeing that people are voting on a millage they need to know that there's all these wonderful artists in our communities and things to go and see. So my part is to get you in front of the commission. So I'll be talking to the chair. Thank you.
Alicia Bell.
Yes. Yeah.
Betty, what, through the chair? I guess we could call that good news, right? We have Hubert, so we got to figure out a way to work on that narrative. And that also could include, I was looking at some of these people that have done the field trips.
Mhm.
You got numbers like 319, 244. That's a big deal.
Mhm.
And that, once again, repeats the narrative. So persons like Massey we need to get with this young man here and these actual schools that are using your resources.
Yes.
That's a big deal. If you got that many kids coming, you got to have kids talking about art.
Mm.
And those that haven't used it to its fullest, we've got to figure out where they located or what's near them. And as you pointed out to me and our fellow board person, different communities react differently to different things. But in all communities, you got people that are working hard to make things better. As our chair keeps bringing up, how do we get to change the shape of the voice? You had to change it so you can repeat the narrative. And I just want to commend you, but while we putting up a big way we're going to celebrate him, let's celebrate these children that have got these numbers up. What are they doing? We want to go back to our other communities and say, okay, how'd you do that? We want to duplicate that. Do you know how huge this is? Because that's a big deal to me in a calendar year. Thank you.
Would it be possible to invite someone that writes for the news or Free Press or whatever to one of these meetings so they get informed about what's going on? Because there seems to be a lapse between they knowing what the community's doing. I don't think we can solve it today, but maybe we should.
Yeah, so thank you for, for elevating this. I mean, this is something that we're working on continually. I'm trying to make sure people understand, all the benefits that are available through the millage. So one of the things, you know, just listening to the conversation, you know, I can bring a packet of press, you know, for the next meeting, because I do want the group to sort of see where we are getting press hits. And I, you know, I'm going to kind of take these comments back with me and think about it, think about what we might do differently. I do want everyone to know, if you have a group, you know, out in the community who'd be interested in a community engagement talk, we go out and tell a little bit about the museum. We give a brief history. We go over millage benefits, special exhibitions. So that's something we're happy to do, like Optimist clubs, Kiwanis clubs. Those are sort of our people. So we're happy to, you know, do that. Sometimes people need like an enrichment for their meeting. We're happy to provide that too. So that's just another way, sort of like that one-on-one.
I think that's a good idea when you said before the Wayne County Commission to have someone come and speak about it there. I think that's good. Thank you. Okay, so where are we now?
Number 5.
Right. Election of the board officers, the chairperson, the recording secretary, and the treasurer.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would like to nominate our existing chair, Ms. Betty Mizraka. I would like to nominate our recording secretary, Barbara Rogel Miller, and I would like to nominate our treasurer, Lolita Haley, for each for a 1-year term for those offices.
Any other nominations? Okay, so do we,
I'll second the nominations
okay,
if it's appropriate. I'm being nominated.
No, you can't. So I'll second, or you want a second? I'll second the nomination.
so it's
Thank you.
moved in second, all those in favor?
No, any discussion?
I'm sorry.
Any discussion?
Any discussions? Oh, I was gonna skip that part. No, any discussions? So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carried. Hurrah, hurrah.
Congratulations, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Congratulations, recording secretary, and congratulations, Madam Treasurer.
Such are the matters as may be submitted before the board.
Madam Chair.
Yes, please.
I did circulate, or Ms. Hunter circulated a document she and I worked on for the reimbursement. If everybody found that agreeable, then you wanted to sign off on those or to use those and then provide them to, I'm assuming Ms. Hunter will help us get that to, you know, finance.
Any other comments on that? So what have we proceed now? Do we have to vote on that now?
No, you voted on it. It's just a document that sort of memorializes what we talked about earlier and the request that you made to have this at least done this today. I did put an indication in there that that particular form will be amended next time. It won't include the $125. It would just be going forward as it relates to
Right.
request.
Okay, thank you.
We want everyone to fill these out today.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Filling them out today and turning them in.
Okay.
And who do we turn it into?
Ms. Hunter.
Octavia?
Any, are we at public
Public comment.
are we at public comments now?
Yes.
Are there any public comments? Are there any public comments?
Octavia's looking.
She's looking.
There's no one on Zoom wishing to make a comment.
Nothing. She said none?
She says no one is waiting.
Okay, no one is waiting. All right. We waited long enough. Okay, so we have no public comments, so we move to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Been moved in second. All those in favor?
Thanks.
Aye.
Aye.